Board of Elections.
Last but not least.
Okay. This is a comparison of our staff levels to that of counties that are similar size.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie, do you have an extra one?
Yes.
First off, I want to thank the legislators for allowing us to be here, and Megan, Jamie, and I disagreed on another protection, so we'll be talking about
Is it okay if you guys are part of this? The executive budget?
That's not online yet, right?
Actually, someone told me today that it was online. I don't know that to be sure, but
Rip my pages on, he wants to move it.
Absolutely, that should be
I
shared.
believe so, yeah.
Share it.
It's a public document.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
So I know you guys are missing the JV game right now. 9 o'clock is, okay, go ahead.
Eight, well, no, we're missing because I think the second
I went
debate
to hear, it's
starts
just that I
at
went to hear what Governor Kentucky has.
Yeah, the first one's right.
One of the primary functions of the Board of Elections, as you all know, is the conducting of elections, compiling the results, and maintaining the voter registration database that we have. To do that, though, we need trained and experienced staff. When it comes to trained, that could be costly, as you talked, the sheriff mentioned in his thing, the training people does cost money. When it comes to the experience with the Board of Elections, it's not like you need to be there a couple months and you've got it down, because every 4 years, we go through a cycle. Next year, we have a presidential year cycle. In 2 years, we'll have another federal election, and in between all of that are the local elections. So for anybody to really get the experience, they need to be there at least 4 years to have an idea how each one is different. Back in 2010, we implemented the new voting systems. So we had a lot of change from what we had with the lever machines. We now had to store them. We had to, programming was a bigger, different issue with how that was set up. We had to deliver them, we had to pick them up and bring them back to the storage. And between all of that, they had to be tested. These were things that were not done when we had the lever machines. And then in 2016 now, we're moving into another era where the schools are no longer going to be allowed to use the lever machines. So they'll be looking for us and other boards of elections to provide the programming service, the printing, and all of that that is needed for that. So we've added that, and if you know, in the Montgomery County, there are 5 school districts that we would be handling or probably responsible for. That adds up to about 12 to 15 of those machines that need to be programmed and tested and then retested once they come back. In the past 5 years, since 2010, because of the budget issues that we've had, the Board of Elections have looked and found ways to cut our expenses. When we first started off, there were 2 certified printers for our ballots, and they were charging 56 cents a ballot. So our expenses for that were quite high. But in that time, we found another printer that we can use that is certified now, and the cost is half of that. We're only paying about 25 to 27 cents a ballot. The yellow cards that some of you get in the mail every August, all right, the cost of those, we brought that down. A couple of years ago, we brought the printing cost of it down because in the city of Amsterdam, we have to do a bilingual card. So that cost of that doubled, but we forced the printing company to work with us so that we didn't have to do that county-wide. So we saved several thousands of dollars there. And then just this year, with those cards that went out, we cut the postage in half by going not-for-profit. We were able to do that. In the primary elections, that we have to budget for every year. We never know what's going to happen. It all depends on the candidates, who's running, what's going on. But what we do is when we can, we cut the expenses for those. Election law mandates a lot of what we have to do. And if we can, we work it so that we cut back on the number of election workers we have at a poll site, because we have to have so many in the district, things like that. You know, so we worked with that to try and cut those down. In the city of Amsterdam, those that viewed from there realized we had a 4-party primary throughout the city. But what we managed to do is cut down the districts to just a poll site type of thing. Then, the chargebacks. Most of our budget, since it's based on the elections and the districts, then pay the county back for those services of us running that election. I want to give you an idea of what line items are charged back and are part of that revenue line which we have up there. So if you look at line 1130, the temporary employees, which are our election workers, that's all charged back. 4421, the property rental and lease repair, that is charged back. 4438, miscellaneous supporting services. 4449, special supplies and materials. 4452, that's the printing and copying for mostly the ballots. 4453, about 50 to 75% of that is charged back. And 4459, that is charged back. So all of those particular lines are basically just a wash for part of our budget. Sure, let's see the numbers real quick.
Yeah.
It's 1130, that's a payroll line. 4421, 4438, 4449, 4452, 4453, and 4459.
And you're saying those are all pass-throughs?
Except for the one, 4453, not all of that gets charged back, and all of those
75%?
Now, one of the other things that when it comes to chargebacks, and hopefully by next month we'll have a resolution before you to approve charging back the cost of mailing absentee ballots, or the processing of the absentee ballots back to the towns. Now, in 2012, I went back and looked, we had roughly, we mailed out, I want to say about 1,400 absentee ballots. Now that chargeback, the way I have it figured out, the cost to the county is about $1 per ballot. During the normal elections, during this upcoming one, will probably be in the somewhere between 500 to 800 ballots that we'll be doing. So that's another area where, again, we're washing out some of the work that we do. That's all I have. Thank you, and good night. Oh.
I'd like to add that for the past 2 years, our deputy commissioners have run out of hours. We believe that the current hours that they have are not sufficient to get all the work done.
So they were zeroed out, Jason?
We were,
Exactly zeroed out the deputy commissioners?
nope, we requested they be restored to full-time status with the executive left them at part-time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Actually, was there a counteroffer for the deputy commissioners to be full-time at the concession of the clerks? Because this is actually a big concern for me. And the 2 deputy election commissioners, do you feel with them as full-time, the office could produce more and that would be a benefit to the office as the two department heads?
No, we don't feel so.
You don't feel that you would like them as full-time? You want to keep them both as part-time?
No, we think they have to be full-time, but if we cut the other
See,
positions.
I would support them as full-time with eliminating what the executive said, the two part-time clerks. But if we wanted to, from a negotiation perspective, put an allotment, because there are 6 elections next year, if they needed more hours to bring someone in. But we can't just keep putting more and more and more. There's no way. And this is actually a sticking point for me. I wouldn't approve the whole budget just to line positions, no way. Because your department specifically is too political because it's Board of Elections. That's why this is kind of left just to us specifically. So I would support the 2 deputy commissioners full-time, but if you think your department is better with just 4 part-time people,
I think what we were trying to say is that the extra hours with all the other elections that we'll be taking on, or the programming for the schools and the villages and what is coming on to us, that the loss of the clerical staff, the hours that they do, is not going to be made up by the deputies being full-time. We're asking for the deputies to be full-time so that they're there for more hours to be able to accomplish their job. And there's, you're asking them to take on another responsibility. With that, it's going backwards.
A couple things, because we've been through this before. First of all, the appointments are by their nature political. They're actually proposed by the county chair, so we recognize that that's political. And I want to thank you, Terry, for signing my certificate. So we went, I think, through this in the budget last year. This request was there. But last year, these gentlemen didn't appear last. And I don't think they should be penalized because they're appearing last of the evening, and we're talking about now we don't want to add anymore. That if they showed up first, would you have looked at it differently? I guess is my question.
oh, definitely.
But in addition to that, if you just take a look at this county comparison, and we just heard a presentation from the sheriff, and it's really pretty much the same thing. This county's always been lagging in certain areas, and it's difficult when we have to address budget increases or increases over and above what the executive put in. But nevertheless, I think that's part of a responsible review, and a responsible review doesn't just involve cutting requests. And I think there's substantial evidence been put forth here, especially when I look at some of these other counties that are the same size, Fulton County, and then Franklin County, which is considerably smaller. So I think they made some justification here that I could support. Sure.
Right.
Thank you both for putting together this comparison. It's, especially with the number of registered voters, it's a very easy comparison to look at. And as Duke pointed out, Franklin County is the only one under us with registered voters, and they have 6 full-time staff, opposed to our 2 full-time, 4 part-time. So greatly appreciate that. It makes, looking at it and coming up with a decision a lot easier. This has been an issue I know we've talked about since last year. Yeah, well, I wasn't here, but since beginning of 2014, this was one of the first things that, I talked with your department about under the Education and Government Committee. And especially with more and more elections coming on, whether they be primaries at the federal, state, in that situation, and then schools, we didn't have enough personnel to handle what we were doing, and now we're adding more work to your department and asking you to do more work at the same level, and at some point, it's not doable. I'm gonna support the deputy commissioners at full-time and keeping the clerks at part-time, because even though your department may be political in appointment, budgeting shouldn't be political at all, and that's why we don't issue a budget with names next to appointments as well. I know that's been requested of us, and that's obscene, because that's not how we should be making decisions. This is a needed increase in the budget. It's been needed since 2010, and I'll be supporting it.
Thank you, Ryan. Anyone else? I don't know if you pointed this out, but those positions were actually cut back in 2010.
Right, we had 6 full-time staff back then.
Yeah, so, all right, so at one time they were full-time, okay. Anything else? Thank you,
Thank you.
very good. So I think we've had enough of budget review. The only suggestion I would make, and I'm willing to meet, during the week, the rest of this week, I think each department had 1 or 2 requests which we can handle at home, but the sheriff seemed to give us a lot. So if you folks want to get together at some point and talk about the sheriff's budget.
Are you looking for that analysis before we make a decision on budget, or?
I don't think that's possible, Joe, so, but, he's got some requests, there's some concern for cars and, but, I'll leave that up to you folks. If you want to contact me or contact Cheryl, if you want to have another discussion, workshop discussion about the sheriff's budget, because that seems to be the most requests that,
I would like to see you put together what your recommendations are
Okay.
for that, and email it to us. I'll look at it.
okay,
And then we can go from there and see what we're going to accept.
okay. Yes.
Question, because especially when it came to the sheriff's budget, I jotted down a couple things. When would you like to see our worksheets complete to you by? Or you CC Cheryl,
I think we said the 22nd.
Yeah, the 22nd. Obviously, the sooner the better. We're going to be gone Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but, and then we're going to be working on it Thursday, so. And my goal is to make sure everybody's proposals get to the floor, and then we'll vote on them. And did we decide, is that a 2/3 vote, or?
Well, Megan and I talked about it today, I didn't mean to interrupt
Go
you,
for
but,
it, sure.
what we talked about today is what you guys had said the other night, that if you, on Thursday the 24th, I think the goal is that you as a group would have your worksheets, whether they're handwritten, typed, whatever, and you can, as a budget and finance committee, just go through them. I mean, I could take them and kind of combine, like if 5 of you had, the same request or whatever. But it wouldn't necessarily, what I'm getting at is it wouldn't necessarily at that point be a resolution. It would be more of a concession of the board.
Okay.
And then you would turn it into a resolution for the following week on
Okay.
October 6th.
Okay. So just a majority vote would be fine with the proposals,
Do you agree
right?
with
Well,
that?
if it's not going to, I mean, I guess it would,
I guess it depends on how you want to format it. I mean, I would recommend having just a discussion. Here's what everyone's thoughts are. Here's, have a discussion, see if you can reach a consensus. If you can, we can put it in a resolution form. If there's areas where, you guys don't agree on certain line items, put it up as two different resolutions, then
Right.
break it out into separate resolutions and then have a 2/3 vote on it.
Okay.
So what you're saying is to get a consensus on what we can.
Right.
And then the items that are left out that we don't have a consensus, we'll move
Or
them individually.
the night of the 24th.
Yep. I would suggest that.
Probably
Right.
tomorrow.
Terry, I think it would be fair to say that also that the night of the 24th, the night of your meeting, which is the 24th, I mean, it'd be nice to have something so that all of you have everything, but obviously you might not have.
To look at, you mean?
So you can give us the consensus by the 24th, so we'll know what's going on?
Yeah.
I would
That's-
think yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we would be able to do it that way.
Perfect.
The report. Right.
Preliminary.
Right, preliminary.
Preliminary
Uh-huh.
report.
Not
Yeah, I just want to clarify that I'm not going to separate anything. The proposals are all going to get to you folks.
That's a thought.
And,
motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn. Ryan, oh, just a second, okay. Very good, thanks.